Matt Coles produced a stunning innings, but it wasn't enough as Kent went down to Essex by 5 wickets with 5 balls to spare in their latest Royal London One Day Cup match in Chelmsford. Put in after losing the toss, Kent, as has been the case so often this summer in all formats, made a bright start in tricky conditions through Daniel Bell-Drummond and Joe Denley. The pair have become a formidable partnership at the top of the batting order for their county, and on this occasion they started the match with a stand of 54 in the first 11 and a half overs. It was the former New Zealand under-19 player Matt Quinn who started to change things after bowling Denley for 28. That brought in Sam Northeast, who struck the first 6 of the day. But in the next over, the 18th, Quinn struck the stumps to get shot of Bell-Drummond for 28 at 79 for 2. That became 80 for 3 in Quinn's next over. He rewarded again for bowling at the stumps, Northeast the man to go for 19. Ashar Zaidi then put Essex on top with 2 wickets in his second over, with a big thanks to James Foster on both occasions. Fabian Cowdrey was stumped for 4, and Sam Billings was another to find Foster in fine form as he departed for 14. The Spitfires left on 101 for 5 halfway through their 50 overs, wide deliveries from the spinner causing problems. Darren Stevens showed the best way to play the former Sussex all-rounder by belting his straighter deliveries for a couple of 6s as he looked to build a much-needed partnership with Alex Blake, the two adding 33 runs in 8 overs. But both were soon back in the pavilion. Blake took on Jesse Ryder and lost after a slip to be run out for 14. And then Zaidi grabbed his 3rd wicket as Stevens picked out Nick Brown on the mid-wicket boundary after making 21. With 15 overs of the innings left, Kent now found themselves on 135 for 7, with a final score of 200 looking out of reach. But Coles had other ideas, superbly backed up by James Tredwell in his 250th List A appearance. Not only did these two keep hold of their wickets, but they also, admirably, kept the scoreboard ticking over by picking off plenty of boundaries. With 10 overs left, they carried the score up to 173 for 7. 112 more runs were then smashed off the last 60 balls, Coles moving ahead of his partner by dispatching Ryan Ten-Descarter. When he was replaced by Ravi Bopara, Coles enjoyed himself even more, taking 17 runs off the 45th over, Coles getting to his 50 of 40 balls. Bopara's next over was even more expensive, costing 18 runs, as Coles really found his range with some explosive hitting. It was the penultimate over that really made a difference. Coles hit 2 4s off the first 4 balls of it, and in between those were 2 more maximums as he took his tally of those to 5 to go along with his 10 4s. He moved from 50 to 91 in just 12 deliveries. So he would have been disappointed to miss the 5th ball of the over to be bowled by Ten-Descarter, but he'd added 140 in 14 overs with Tredwell, who made an unbeaten 47 out of his side's 285 for 8. Coles then opened up the bowling with a couple of overs before being replaced by Stevens, who had Tom Westley held by Denley off the leading edge with his 3rd delivery. Essex had won 2 of their 3 matches in this competition and now looked to Ryder and Brown to make a move on the target. Brown went after Stevens as the home team responded by taking 50 runs for the loss of Westley's wicket in the first 10 overs. Ryder then started to find the boundary at will with his own approach to batting, and things were going well for his team as he helped bring up the 100 in the 20th over before the Kiwi completed a half-century of 61 balls. But his next one was his last. Tredwell continuing his good day, Stevens with a catch-up point, which ended a partnership of 82. Tredwell then struck again in his next over, Billings with the smart stumping to remove Brown for 49. So halfway through, the Eagles had got to 122 for 3 and now needed 164 more runs for the remaining 25 overs. There was a long period without any boundaries until Dan Lawrence ruined Tredwell's figures somewhat by twice hitting him for 6s in successive balls. But much of the partnership with Bopara was made in 1s and 2s, Lawrence then finding Ivan Thomas, who took a tumbling catch off Cowdrey to go for 35. A classic was emerging, with Essex left to find 85 runs off the final 10 overs Bapara and Tendescarter did well to take more of what they needed off each over, as that target was reduced to 36 off the last 30 balls, Bapara having passed a patient 50 off 64 deliveries. The pair produced a perfectly timed partnership, and eventually Essex required 11 runs from the 2 overs that remained, the stand finally realising 103 runs in a dozen overs. That was down to 3 runs off 8 balls when Coles had Tendescarter trying to win the match with 1 hit, caught by Cowdrey for 45, a wicket which brought in Zaidi, who hit his first ball for 4 to give Essex the points. So in the end, Coles' efforts were in vain as Kent lost by 5 wickets with 5 balls to spare as their hosts moved to the top of the South Group. The Spitfires now with 2 wins and 2 losses thus far. It's now back to T20 action and a trip to Glamorgan on Friday.